It's time to react to mental health content. Yay! We're going to talk about mental health stuff today through the lens of reacting to some mental health content creators. There's a lot of mental health stuff out there, and we're going to see what it's like and talk about it. So here we go.
Cheaters are people pleasers. Most of the time. I didn't know that. People get this wrong because in the movies, it's like some selfish, douchey person. But in real life, working as a couples therapist, working as a relationship coach, what I keep seeing is that the person who cheats is actually the person who's really good at people pleasing. Because if I don't believe that you trusting me is more important than you liking me, I will hide who I am so that you like me, and I will call it love. I will say, well, it's not that big of a deal, so I'm not going to bring it up. Oh, my feelings aren't that important. It's so silly that I have that feeling. Little things like that, I'll shove them away. And because I'm so afraid that if you stop liking me for a moment, I will lose you forever, I will go outside the relationship to feel accepted, to feel seen, to wow somebody again, because it's getting harder to wow you. I'm exhausted, I'm feeling drained, and that feels safer than showing up as my full self. It's not about the person that I'm cheating on. It's about me and how terrified I am that I don't actually matter. My feelings don't actually matter, and I don't actually deserve love. Those are the people who cheat. That was your experience. I want to hear it from you because I think cheaters get a really bad rap. They get no grace, and because of that, they don't actually get to heal. I want you to heal. And if you've been cheated on, I'm so sorry. Please know it doesn't have anything to do with you, even if the person who cheated on you said it did.
This is such a heckin' important clip. We might the whole video might be reacting to this one reel. So, okay, fundamentally, I believe that cheating comes from dissatisfaction in relationships. Needs not being met in relationships, right? Because if all of your needs were being met in a relationship, then you wouldn't need to cheat. However, I think that the reason that this happens is, I think it's actually multifaceted. So the reason that dissatisfaction happens in relationships is because people are so hesitant to communicate in relationships for a lot of what this person was talking about. Because, you know, you're afraid that it's not going to You're afraid that it's not going to go well. You're afraid that it's not going to make a difference. And so you choose to just stay silent. And there's an expression that I really like, which is the relationship you want is on the other side of the conversation that you are not having. And I think that the reason that this is so hard to address is because when people are in pain, our fight or flight system activates, right? We start black and white thinking. All of a sudden, they are bad, we are good. Or we are bad, they are good, or whatever it is. Or everyone is bad. Everything is bad. And so nuance goes out the window. We come back again to nuance. And so instead of being able to understand the nuance of what is going on in the head of somebody who cheats, we just, again, mark them as a monster. Now, is their behavior acceptable? Of course not. It's very harmful. It's really, really bad. It causes all sorts of hurt. Again, I've worked with many clients that have been cheated on, and it leaves a huge freaking scar that we have to work through. It's awful. And again, I think that it would happen less if we actually addressed the root cause rather than just trying to address the symptoms. And the way that we try to address the symptoms is through what I would call toxic monogamy. The idea that, you can't talk to members of the opposite sex. You can't look at pornography. Like all of these things that basically put your partner on a super tight leash. And I think that the tragedy is that actually just makes it more likely that the person is going to cheat. Because when you hold someone on a super tight leash, they're just going to run farther. And when we are able to actually sit down and have conversations with our partner and work through things, then cheating becomes something that isn't even an option. I'll tell you a story about this. I have been with my partner for 21 years this November. And I remember before I was a coach, I worked customer service at a life insurance company. And I was telling my boss one time about how I was going on this trip to visit a friend of mine in Illinois. And she said, "Is your wife okay with that?" Because the person that I was going to visit was a woman. And it actually took me a second to figure out what it was that she was asking. Because in my relationship, there's no, like, it's not even a thought that crosses our mind. Us cheating on each other is not even a concern. And the reason for that is because we have built a foundation of trust with one another. We have built a foundation of trust and security. And so oftentimes what I ask people when they are in relationships that I would consider to be, toxic monogamy, I ask them, what kind of relationship do you want to have? Do you want to be in a relationship where you are constantly having to monitor your partner and are constantly afraid that they're going to cheat? Or do you want to be in a relationship that is built off of a foundation of trust and security, where you know that no matter what happens, your partner's got your back and that they're going to be there for you and not, betray you? And here's the thing. So, something that people will say is, talking it out doesn't always work. Sometimes people just won't listen to you. People just won't hear you. In which case, leave the relationship. 100%. Leave the relationship. Now, I know that leaving the relationship is not always so simple. In certain, toxic, abusive dynamics, sometimes you get trapped in a relationship because of things like kids or because of physical safety, things like that. That's a whole other category of thing that I'm not even touching. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about in a sort of normal functioning relationship where you can actually talk to your partner and work things out. Now, like I said, if you talk to your partner and you can't work things out, if that continues to happen over and over and over again, there is some fundamental thing in the relationship that is not being addressed, and no matter how much you talk to your partner about it, it's not getting better. Either go seek out external help, like a couples counselor or whatever, or, which by the way, if you want to talk to me about your partner, I'll leave a link in the description where you can have a free 50-minute session, or leave the relationship. Because every relationship is a contract between two or more people, and even one or more people, I should say. And a vital clause in that contract is if one or both of us becomes fundamentally dissatisfied with the relationship, we have a right to leave. And it is vital that that clause is present in the contract, in the relationship, because otherwise the relationship gets toxic very, very quickly. I hard disagree. Sure, some cheaters are people pleasers. I know and have been with plenty more who are just narcissists. Narcissists are people pleasers. I know that sounds crazy, but narcissists are 100% people pleasers. Where narcissism comes from is a fundamental insecurity. I am not secure in who I am. And so I need constant validation from everyone around me that I am doing good, that I am good enough, that I am okay. And that is why they boast so much. What narcissism is, it is a inflation of ego to a clinical level. An inflation of ego to the point where it starts to cause impairment in day-to-day function. Because our ego is there to protect our emotions. When we have some sort of emotion, our ego pops up as a way to protect us so that we don't have to feel that emotion. So a great example of this is when a guy asks a girl out, and before he asks her out, he says, "Oh my God, she's such a goddess, she's so wonderful, she's so beautiful, I love her." And then he asks her out, and she rejects him, and he says, "She was a bitch anyway, I don't even care." That is his ego popping up to put her down so that he doesn't have to feel the pain of rejection because he doesn't know how to process his emotions. So narcissism is people pleasing. So all of this is to say that if you are in a relationship and you feel insecure about your partner cheating, or maybe you are the person cheating, it really all comes down to making sure that your needs are getting met in the relationship. Because if your needs are getting met, then cheating goes out the window. And if your needs are not getting met, it comes down to talking with your partner about how to get those needs met. And if you can't do that, it comes down to either getting external help or leaving the relationship, ending the relationship. But so many people don't want to cause the pain, the temporary pain of leaving the relationship. And so instead, they end up causing long-term pain by cheating in the relationship. So have the hard conversation now. Suffer the short-term pain now so that you can avoid the long-term suffering later. And if you like hearing this kind of talk about relationships, this video that'll either pop up here or down in the description, depending on where you're watching this, goes into a topic that is pretty stigmatized, not often talked about, which is pornography use that often has a big impact on relationships. And I talk about that in the video. Check it out. Hope it's helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.